US ships have been transiting the strait monthly, angering Beijing.
China sending nearly 150 warplanes into Taiwan's air defense zone.
In a world teetering on the edge of uncertainty, one question has become the linchpin of global stability. Will China invade Taiwan?
The drumbeat of war. Taiwan says 28 Chinese warplanes, including fighter jets and nuclear-capable bombers, crossed into its airspace. As the tension between Taiwan and China is growing, top military analysts warn that an invasion could cost many American lives.
With tensions escalating at a pace unseen in decades, East Asia has become the focal point of a potential crisis that could ripple across continents, destabilizing economies, upending alliances, and potentially igniting a conflict with catastrophic consequences. At the heart of this geopolitical flashpoint lies a deeply entrenched divide. Taiwan, a thriving democracy with its own government and military, stands in stark defiance of Beijing's ambitions for reunification, while global powers like the United States maintain a posture of strategic ambiguity. The stakes in this conflict are far from abstract. An invasion would not only shatter the fragile peace of the Indo-Pacific, but also draw in the world's most powerful militaries, plunging the global economy into chaos and threatening to trigger World War III. As 2025 looms just days away, the international community faces a defining moment. Will China take the ultimate gamble, risking it all for a contested island? Or will the specter of mutual destruction keep these rising tensions from boiling over? The answer could reshape the future of the global order, for better or worse. The Taiwan Strait has long been a focal point of geopolitical tension, but the stakes have never been higher than they are today. The roots of this conflict trace back to 1949, when the Chinese Civil War ended with the Communist Party under Mao Zedong establishing the People's Republic of China, PRC, on the mainland, while the defeated Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan, formerly known as the Republic of China, ROC. Since then, Taiwan has evolved into a vibrant, self-governing democracy, while Beijing has never relinquished its claim over the island, insisting it remains an inseparable part of China. Fast forward to the present, the Taiwan issue has become a litmus test for global power dynamics. For Chinese President Xi Jinping, reunification with Taiwan is not just a political goal, but a cornerstone of his broader vision of national rejuvenation. Meanwhile, Taiwan, backed indirectly by US military and diplomatic support, has fortified its defenses, prepared for what many fear could be an inevitable showdown.
包括台湾同胞在内的中华民族整体利益，任何人都不要低估中国人民捍卫国家主权和领土完整的坚强决心、坚定意志、强大能力。祖国完全统一的历史任务一定要实现，也一定能够实现。
Current tensions have escalated in recent years due to China's aggressive military posturing, including frequent incursions into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ, and large-scale naval exercises. Simultaneously, U.S. arms sales to Taiwan have further antagonized Beijing, creating a volatile environment in the Indo-Pacific. China's potential strategy for a limited military engagement would focus on Taiwan's peripheral territories, such as the Pratas Islands, Dongsha in the South China Sea, or the Kinmen and Matsu Islands near the Chinese mainland. These territories, sparsely defended and geographically vulnerable, present a low-risk, high-reward opportunity for Beijing to assert dominance without launching a full-scale invasion. By targeting these areas, China could achieve several strategic objectives, including testing Taiwan's military response, gauging the international community's reaction, and asserting its intent to bring Taiwan under its control. The Pratas Islands, located approximately 310 kilometers southeast of Hong Kong, hold significant strategic value as they sit along critical shipping lanes in the South China Sea. Their capture would allow Beijing to extend its maritime control in the region, disrupt Taiwan's logistical routes, and project power over the contested waters. Similarly, the Kinmen and Matsu Islands, positioned just 10 to 20 kilometers off China's southeastern coast, are logistically accessible for Beijing's forces. A swift and decisive takeover of these territories would demonstrate Beijing's military capabilities and put immense psychological and political pressure on Taipei. Such a move would likely be accompanied by other forms of coercion, including cyber attacks to paralyze Taiwan's communications and critical infrastructure, as well as a naval blockade to choke off Taiwan's trade-dependent economy. These combined efforts would aim to weaken Taiwan's resilience without triggering an immediate, large-scale international military response. However, even a limited military engagement poses risks for Beijing. Taiwan's military, equipped with advanced U.S.-supplied weapons and trained in asymmetric warfare, could mount a defense, turning a localized conflict into a prolonged standoff. Moreover, any overt act of aggression could unify Taiwan's allies, including the United States, Japan, and Australia, potentially leading to economic sanctions or military countermeasures. While a limited engagement may seem like a calculated move, the potential for escalation into a broader conflict remains a significant gamble for China. A full-scale invasion of Taiwan by China would represent one of the most audacious and high-risk military operations in modern history. In this scenario, Beijing would mobilize the full strength of its military, air, naval, and ground forces in a bid to achieve complete control over Taiwan, asserting its claim of sovereignty over the island. While the stakes are monumental, the operation would be fraught with immense logistical, military, and geopolitical challenges. China's military, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, has the largest standing army in the world, with over 2 million active personnel and advanced assets, including a fleet of over 5,000 aircraft, 340 naval vessels, and cutting-edge missile systems like the DF-17 hypersonic missile. A full-scale invasion would likely involve a combination of airstrikes, missile barrages, amphibious landings, and cyber attacks designed to overwhelm Taiwan's defenses rapidly. Beijing's goal would be to secure a decisive victory within weeks to avoid prolonged conflict and minimize opportunities for international intervention. Taiwan, however, is far from defenseless. With approximately 170,000 active military personnel and significant reserves, the island has fortified itself with advanced U.S. weaponry, including Patriot missile defense systems, HIMARS rocket systems, and anti-ship Harpoon missiles. Its asymmetric warfare strategy, focused on denying China's ability to sustain an invasion, poses a plausible challenge to the PLA. Taiwan's rugged terrain and well-prepared defenses make it a difficult target for occupation. Even if initial strikes succeed, the geopolitical ramifications of a full-scale invasion would be catastrophic. The United States, bound by the Taiwan Relations Act, could be drawn into the conflict, leading to a direct confrontation between the world's two largest military powers. Regional allies like Japan and Australia might also join the fray, while economic sanctions from Western nations could cripple China's trade-dependent economy. Global supply chains, particularly in the semiconductor industry, of which Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's supply, would face severe disruptions, leading to an unprecedented economic crisis. For Beijing, a full-scale invasion is the ultimate gamble, a potential path to achieving its long-standing goal of reunification at the cost of triggering a devastating global conflict. While the PLA has the numerical and technological edge, the risks of miscalculation, protracted warfare, and international backlash make this scenario an extraordinary test of China's resolve and capability. China could employ cyber and economic warfare to destabilize Taiwan without direct military action, leveraging its advanced cyber capabilities and economic influence. A coordinated cyber campaign might target Taiwan's power grids, communications networks, and financial systems, aiming to paralyze infrastructure and erode public confidence. With Taiwan facing an estimated 20 million cyber attacks per month, primarily from China, An escalated assault could overwhelm defenses.
Chinese cyber attacks on the territory have reached an unprecedented scale. Millions are detected each day.
China is getting more and more aggressive, especially in terms of the cyber attacks. We know that the ultimate end of China is to subdue Taiwan, and better without firing a missile or a bullet.
Simultaneously, China could impose trade restrictions or orchestrate blockades, crippling Taiwan's export-dependent economy, especially its semiconductor industry, which supplies over 60% of the global market. This low-risk strategy seeks to weaken Taiwan politically and economically, pressuring it into concessions without triggering a kinetic conflict. However, Taiwan's increased cyber defenses and trade diversification efforts, along with potential international countermeasures, pose significant risks for Beijing. Prolonged aggression could unite global allies like the US and Japan to support Taiwan, isolating China diplomatically, while cyber and economic warfare avoids the fallout of direct military action. It risks rallying international opposition, making this strategy a calculated but perilous move for Beijing. The Philippines is likely to play a crucial role in regional dynamics. As a key U.S. ally in the Indo-Pacific, the Philippines has strategic interests in maintaining stability in the region, particularly given its proximity to Taiwan. The Philippines may provide diplomatic support for Taiwan, particularly through multilateral platforms like ASEAN, while reaffirming its commitment to a rules-based international order in the face of Chinese aggression. In the event of a Chinese attack on Taiwan, Japan would likely take a proactive role in the regional response. Japan has already been strengthening defense ties with the United States, conducting joint military exercises, and enhancing its defense capabilities to counter growing regional threats. Tokyo could provide critical logistical and military support to the US and Taiwan, including facilitating the transit of US forces and offering its own military assets for humanitarian assistance or to assist in Taiwan's defense efforts. Japan is also likely to offer humanitarian aid to Taiwan, given their close economic and cultural ties, while potentially imposing economic sanctions on China. Japan's strong reliance on Taiwan's semiconductor industry would drive its interest in ensuring Taiwan's stability, while its growing concerns over China's military assertiveness in the East and South China Seas make sanctions a plausible course of action. However, Japan would also carefully balance its response to avoid further escalation with China, its largest trading partner. Tokyo's strategy would likely combine military deterrence, humanitarian assistance, and economic measures to support Taiwan while maintaining regional stability. In the event of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, the United States would almost certainly provide robust military support, in line with its strategic interest in maintaining stability in the Indo-Pacific region. The U.S. has a long-standing commitment to Taiwan's defense under the Taiwan Relations Act, which requires Washington to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself, though it does not mandate direct military intervention. However, given the high stakes, the U.S. would likely deploy a substantial military presence to support Taiwan's defense. This could include the rapid deployment of U.S. Navy forces, such as aircraft carriers, guided missile destroyers, and submarines, to secure critical maritime trade routes in the Taiwan Strait and surrounding waters. These assets would help ensure freedom of navigation and provide Taiwan with the naval support necessary to counter Chinese naval forces, which are now among the largest in the world. In the air domain, the U.S. Air Force would likely deploy fighter jets, surveillance aircraft, and advanced radar systems to support Taiwan's air defense. Air superiority would be essential for limiting China's ability to project power over Taiwan, especially in the early stages of a conflict. U.S. missile defense systems, such as the Aegis Ballistic Missile Defense System, would be critical in protecting Taiwan's cities and military installations from Chinese missile strikes. Additionally, the U.S. could deploy advanced fighter jets, such as F-35s and F-22 Raptors, to provide air support and strike capabilities, while U.S. Army forces could offer logistical support, including transport and troop mobilization. Beyond direct combat support, the U.S. would also likely provide Taiwan with advanced weapon systems and intelligence sharing. These might include long-range anti-ship missiles, such as the Harpoon missile, and advanced air defense systems, including Patriot missiles, to bolster Taiwan's defense against a potential Chinese amphibious invasion. Furthermore, the U.S. could deploy military advisors to assist in training and coordination efforts with Taiwan's armed forces. The U.S. response would aim to quickly shift the balance of power in favor of Taiwan and increase the cost for China, making any invasion a costly and unsustainable endeavor. However, the U.S. would also seek to avoid direct conflict with Chinese forces, focusing on strategies that would limit Beijing's military options and push for a diplomatic resolution. To that end, the U.S. would work closely with regional allies, including Japan, Australia, and South Korea, to coordinate military operations, impose economic sanctions on China, and provide diplomatic support to Taiwan. This combined approach would serve to enhance deterrence and ensure that any Chinese military action would have severe, far-reaching consequences. In response to Chinese aggression toward Taiwan, the United States would likely impose a range of economic sanctions aimed at crippling China's economy and deterring further military escalation. These sanctions could target key sectors of the Chinese economy, such as technology, finance, and trade, in an effort to weaken China's strategic capabilities. For example, the U.S. could restrict Chinese access to vital technology, particularly semiconductors, which are crucial for military and industrial purposes. Sanctions on Chinese banks and financial institutions would limit China's access to international markets and financing, further isolating its economy. The U.S. could lead global efforts to suspend China's access to international trade organizations or impose tariffs on Chinese exports, impacting the global supply chain, particularly in sectors like electronics, rare earth minerals, and manufacturing. These measures would aim to put significant pressure on Beijing, making the costs of military aggression against Taiwan economically unbearable. However, such sanctions would also have global repercussions, particularly in trade relations with China, making the U.S. approach highly calculated to avoid unintended economic disruptions. Alongside military and economic pressure, the U.S. would leverage its diplomatic influence to build a coalition of international allies to condemn China's actions and rally support for Taiwan. The United States would work closely with its allies in the Indo-Pacific region, including Japan, South Korea, and Australia, as well as global powers like the European Union, to present a united front against Chinese aggression. This diplomatic pressure would include calls for immediate ceasefire, support for Taiwan's sovereignty, and a condemnation of China's violation of international norms. The U.S. would also seek to engage with international organizations, such as the United Nations, to garner global support for Taiwan and isolate China diplomatically. This would involve pushing for resolutions, condemning Chinese actions, and supporting Taiwan's right to self-determination. Moreover, the U.S. would continue to work with countries in the Quad grouping, Japan, India, Australia, and the U.S., to coordinate the efforts, ensuring that China faces a united diplomatic and economic response. Taiwan's primary option in the face of a Chinese invasion would be to strengthen its military defense capabilities. Given Taiwan's geographic proximity to China and its vulnerability to an amphibious assault, bolstering its military forces would be crucial. This could include enhancing its air defense systems, expanding its missile capabilities, and upgrading its naval fleet to counter China's growing military power. Taiwan could also focus on asymmetric warfare strategies, using its advanced technology and highly trained forces to create a formidable defense, despite its smaller size compared to China's military. In addition to strengthening its own defense, Taiwan would likely seek international military support from the United States and its allies, particularly through military aid and defense agreements. The U.S. could provide advanced weapon systems, including fighter jets, anti-ship missiles, and radar systems, to assist Taiwan in countering a Chinese invasion. Joint military exercises and the deployment of U.S. naval and air assets in the region would serve as a powerful deterrent, reinforcing Taiwan's ability to defend itself and signaling to China that an invasion would carry significant risks. Taiwan's strategy would aim to make any potential invasion by China costly and difficult, leveraging both domestic military readiness and international partnerships. China's official stance on Taiwan is rooted in its long-standing claim of sovereignty over the island. The Chinese government views Taiwan as an inseparable part of its territory, a position reinforced by its One China policy, which asserts that there is only one China with Taiwan as part of it. Beijing consistently justifies any potential military action against Taiwan as necessary for national security and territorial integrity, framing it as a critical step toward reunification. Chinese officials have emphasized that the resolution of the Taiwan issue is an essential aspect of national rejuvenation and the restoration of China's full territorial sovereignty. As such, Beijing perceives its actions toward Taiwan as a matter of domestic and regional importance, driven by the goal of reclaiming what it considers a historically Chinese province. China's strategic objectives regarding Taiwan are multifaceted. The primary goal is reunification, which has been a central tenet of Chinese policy since the Chinese Civil War. In recent years, this goal has been framed as an essential part of China's broader ambitions to regain regional dominance and challenge U.S. influence in the Indo-Pacific. Beyond reunification, China aims to project itself as a global power capable of asserting its territorial claims and expanding its influence on the world stage. Taiwan, situated at a crucial point in the Asia-Pacific region, holds strategic importance not only for its symbolic value, but also for its economic and military significance. By securing Taiwan, China would cement its regional dominance and gain control over a critical area of international trade routes and military positioning. This would also serve as a direct challenge to U.S. power in the region, furthering China's ambition to reshape the regional security architecture in its favor. Taiwan's primary focus in the face of escalating threats from China is strengthening its defense capabilities. The island nation is preparing for potential conflict by modernizing its military forces, including enhancing its air and missile defense systems, improving its cyber defenses, and investing in asymmetric warfare strategies. Taiwan aims to make any Chinese military action as costly as possible, leveraging its technological advantages and strategic geography. Additionally, Taiwan is seeking international military support, particularly from the United States and its allies, to ensure it can defend itself against a possible invasion. This support could include advanced weapon systems, joint military exercises, and the pre-positioning of allied forces in the region to deter Chinese aggression. While Taiwan remains focused on defense, its political strategy seeks to maintain the status quo and avoid direct conflict. Taiwan continues to advocate for peaceful resolution, emphasizing its commitment to diplomacy and dialogue. The government in Taipei has consistently called for international recognition of its sovereignty and has pushed for its inclusion in global organizations, despite China's objections. Taiwan's leadership emphasizes its right to self-determination, asserting that the island's future should be decided by its people, not by Beijing. In doing so, Taiwan aims to balance its defensive readiness with diplomatic efforts to secure its autonomy without provoking further escalation, hoping to maintain stability in the region while avoiding an all-out confrontation. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.